Emperor Vexthor sat on his throne made of crystal from 1,000 dead worlds. His 4 eyes glowed red in the darkness of the command chamber. Around him, holographic displays showed the entire galactic dominion, 847 species, 12,000 planets, all bowing to his rule. He had controlled the galaxy for 300 years. Nothing happened without his permission. "My emperor," said his advisor, a thin creature with silver skin named Kalthos. "The human colony on Terra 9 refuses to leave. They say the mining rights belong to them." Vexthor's mandibles clicked together. It was the sound he made when he found something amusing. "Humans? The new species? The ones with only one heart and soft skin?" "Yes, my emperor. They have been in our galaxy for only 50 years. They have no military, no power, but they refuse to obey." The emperor stood up. His massive body towered over everyone in the room. "Show me this planet." The hologram changed. A small blue and green planet appeared, floating in space. It looked peaceful. Vexthor could see the colony from orbit, simple buildings, farms, a small spaceport. The scan showed 8,000 humans living there. They had come from their homeworld Earth to mine rare metals. They had families, children. They thought this planet was their new home. "How many warships do they have?" Vexthor asked. "None, my emperor. They have 3 cargo ships and some mining equipment. And they dare to refuse me?" The emperor's voice shook the room. "Send the fleet. Make an example of them. I want every species in the galaxy to see what happens when someone says no to me." Kalthos bowed. "It will be done." 3 days later, the Imperial flagship called the Eternal Fang arrived at Terra 9. It was a ship the size of a city, covered in weapons. Behind it came 20 more warships. The humans on the planet tried to send messages, tried to negotiate, tried to surrender. Vexthor ignored them all. "Fire!" he commanded. Blue light rained down from the sky. The weapons hit the colony like the fist of an angry god. Buildings turned to dust. The air itself caught fire. The humans ran. They screamed. They tried to save their children. It made no difference. Some of the humans had built shelters underground, thinking they would be safe from attacks. The shelters were strong, made of metal and concrete. Parents pushed their children inside, hoping they would survive. But the Emperor's weapons could crack planets. The shelters were torn apart like paper. Day 1 was not on Terra 9 when the attack happened. He was a freighter captain, delivering supplies to another colony. His ship was old and slow, but it was his. He had worked for 15 years to buy it. His wife Yunji and their 3 children lived on Terra 9. His daughters, Nari and Hana, were 10 and 8 years old. His son Jinho had just turned 6. Day 1 was 3 days away when he got the emergency message. The words made no sense at first. Terra 9 destroyed. All colonists dead. Do not approach. He read it again. And again. His hands started to shake. He changed course immediately. His ship was not fast, but he pushed it as hard as he could. For 3 days he did not sleep. He did not eat. He just stared at the darkness of space and prayed to gods he did not believe in. When he finally reached Terra 9, there was nothing left. The colony was gone. The ground was black and smoking. The air was poison. His scanner showed no life signs. 0. He landed anyway. Wearing a protective suit and walked through the ruins. He found his house, or what was left of it. The walls were gone. Everything was ash. He found his wife's ring in the dust. Just the ring. Nothing else remained. The shelters were worse. Most of them had collapsed completely. Rescue teams from other human colonies were already there, digging through the rubble. They moved slowly, carefully. They were finding bodies. So many bodies. Most of them were small. Day 1 helped them dig. His hands bled inside his gloves, but he kept digging. He had to find his children. He had to know. On the 3rd day they found Shelter 7. It had not collapsed completely. The entrance was blocked, but the main chamber was intact. Inside they found 12 children. 11 were dead, killed by smoke and heat and fear. One was alive. Jin Ho. The boy was unconscious, dehydrated, barely breathing, but alive. The rescue team rushed him to the medical ship. Day one followed, not understanding how this was possible. Why one child? Why his child? Why not all of them? The doctor, a kind woman named Su-jin, saved Jinho's life. When the boy finally woke up, he looked at his father with huge, confused eyes. "Where's Mom?" Jinho asked. "Where are Nari and Hana?" Daewon could not answer. He just held his son and cried for the first time since he was a child himself. The final count came 2 days later. 8,000 colonists dead. Among them, 5,731 were children. The Galactic Council sent a message saying they were concerned, but would not take action against the Emperor. Terra 9 was in Imperial space. The Emperor had the right to enforce his laws. No one would be punished. No one would pay. The Emperor had already forgotten about it. He was busy with other planets, other wars, other problems, but the humans did not forget. In every colony, on every station, on Earth itself, humans heard about Terra 9. They heard about the children. They saw the pictures of the ruins. They learned the number, 5,731. Daewon sat in his ship with Jinho sleeping in the next room. The boy had nightmares every night. He woke up screaming for his mother and sisters. Daewon did not know how to help him. He did not know how to help himself. He looked at the list. Someone had made all 5,731 names. Every child who died. He found his daughters' names, Nari and Hana, 2 names among thousands. The Emperor probably never knew they existed. He probably never thought about them once. That, Daewon realized, was the worst part. His daughters were dead, his wife was dead, and the creature who killed them did not even remember doing it. To Vexter, they were nothing. Less than nothing. Just numbers on a report he probably never read. Daewon folded the list carefully and put it in his pocket. He would keep it. He would remember every name, even if it took the rest of his life to learn them all. Someone had to remember. Someone had to care. He did not know it yet, but across human space, millions of others were making the same decision. They were reading the names. They were remembering. And they were starting to get angry. 3 weeks after Terra 9 burned, a small cargo ship appeared at the edge of the Imperial capital system. The capital was called Throne World, and it was the most protected place in the galaxy. Thousands of defense satellites surrounded it. Hundreds of warships patrolled the space around it. Nothing could get close without permission. The cargo ship's name was Morning Star. It was old and damaged. Its hull was scarred with blast marks. It should not have been able to get past the outer defenses. But somehow it did. The ship's pilot was a young woman named Yuna. She was 24 years old. She had been an engineer on Terra 9, designing water filtration systems. Her parents died in the attack. Her younger brother died. Her fiancé died. She survived only because she was on a supply run to orbit when the bombardment started. Yuna had spent 3 weeks planning this moment. She had studied the Imperial defenses. She had hacked into old military databases. She had learned secrets that no human should know. As she had stolen a ship with a very special engine 1 that could briefly fool the sensors into thinking it was something else. Unidentified vessel. "You are entering restricted space," a voice said over the radio. "Turn back or you will be destroyed." Yuna did not turn back. She aimed her ship directly at the Imperial Plaza in the center of the capital city. The defense systems activated. Missiles launched. Energy weapons charged. She pushed the engines to maximum. The ship screamed as it fell toward the planet. The heat shields started to burn. Alarms filled the cockpit. Yuna held the controls steady. She had done the math. If she kept this angle, she would reach the plaza before the missiles caught her. The ship hit the atmosphere. The sky turned orange, then red, then white. The hull started to melt. Yuna could smell burning plastic and metal. She could feel the heat through her seat. Just a little longer, the Morning Star crashed into the Imperial Plaza at a speed that should have killed everyone inside. But Yuna had filled the cargo bay with impact foam and wrapped herself in an emergency pod. When the ship finally stopped moving, she was badly hurt but alive. She climbed out of the wreckage. Smoke poured from the ship. Alarms were screaming everywhere. Imperial guards ran toward her from all directions, their weapons raised. She stood in the middle of the burning ship and raised her hands. In one hand, she held a paper list. In the other, a sealed white envelope. "I demand to see Emperor Vexther," she said loudly. "I have a message for him." The guards surrounded her. They pointed their weapons at her head. One of them, a large creature with 6 arms, grabbed her roughly. "You are under arrest for terrorism. You will be executed immediately." "Then I will give my message to you," Yuna said calmly. "Tell your emperor that the humans have not forgotten Terra 9. Tell him we counted every single child." The guard hit her. She fell to the ground, bleeding. The list fell from her hand, and the pages scattered in the wind. The envelope landed in a puddle, but someone was recording everything. A news drone had caught the crash. The whole galaxy was watching Dot in his palace. Emperor Vexther heard about the crash. He was eating his morning meal when an advisor interrupted him. "My emperor, a human has crashed a ship into the plaza. She demands to speak with you." Vexther continued eating. "Kill her." "My emperor, the entire galaxy is watching. She says she has a message about Terra 9. The emperor stopped eating. Terra 9, that small colony he had destroyed. Why were these humans still talking about it? It had been 3 weeks. Most species forgot about their dead in 3 days. She crashed a ship into my capital, Vexther said slowly. And now she wants to talk to me? He started to laugh. Very well. Bring her to the throne room. Let the galaxy watch this. Let them see what happens to insects who annoy me. They brought Yuna to the throne room in chains. She was bleeding from her head. Her clothes were burned. She could barely walk, but her eyes were clear and hard. The throne room was enormous, with ceilings so high they seemed to touch the stars. Thousands of courtiers stood along the walls, representing every species in the empire. Cameras floated in the air, broadcasting to billions of viewers across the galaxy. Vexther sat on his crystal throne, looking down at the small, broken human. Speak, he commanded. Deliver your message. Yuna pulled out the paper list from her pocket. It had been folded and refolded so many times that the creases were starting to tear. Before I give you the message, she said, I need to read something. I did not give you permission to. My name is Yuna, she interrupted. I was born on Terra 9. 3 weeks ago, you killed everyone I loved. You killed 5,731 children. I have their names. All of them. And before I die, you are going to hear every single one. The Emperor laughed. You want to read me a list of names? Very well. Entertain me, human. Yuna started reading. Kim Minho, age 5. Park Jasu, age 7. Choi Yuna, age 4. Lee Dong-yoon, age 9. At first, the courtiers laughed with the Emperor. A list of names? This was her great message? But Yuna did not stop. She kept reading. Name after name. Age after age. Bae-suho, age 11. Kang Hae-jin, age 6. Song Taeyong, age 3. An hour passed. 2 hours. Yuna's voice grew hoarse, but she did not stop. The laughter in the throne room died. The courtiers stopped smiling. Even the Emperor stopped looking amused. Han Min-seo, age 8. Oh Ji-hoon, age 5. Yoon Seo-young, age 10. 3 hours. 4 hours. Some of the courtiers left. Others sat down on the floor. But Yuna kept reading. Her throat bled. Her voice cracked. She drank water when someone offered it, then continued. Young Nian, age 7. Kwon Hyun-woo, age 4. Shin Eri, age 9. 6 hours. 8 hours. The galaxy was watching. Every channel, every screen. No one could look away. The names kept coming. Children, just children. So many children. I'm age 6. On Yuna, age 5. Chunsiwu, age 10 hours, 11 hours. When Yuna finally reached the last name, her voice was barely a whisper. Park Jinho, age 6. Wait, that was wrong. Jinho had survived, but Yuna did not know that. She had made this list from the first reports before they found him alive. The throne room was completely silent. Yuna folded the list carefully and put it back in her pocket. Then she pulled out the sealed white envelope. She walked forward, her chains rattling, and placed it at the Emperor's feet. "That is the message," she said. Vexler picked up the envelope. He opened it slowly. Inside was a single piece of paper with a single word written in human. Script. Remember. The Emperor stared at the word for a long moment. Then he started to laugh. It started as a chuckle, then grew louder and louder until it filled the entire throne room. "Remember?" he said. "You crashed a ship into my capital, you read me names for 11 hours, and your message is remember?" He laughed harder. "You humans are more stupid than I thought?" He looked at his guards. "Kill her, slowly. Make it hurt. Let the galaxy see what happens to those who waste my time." The guards grabbed Yuna. She did not fight. She did not scream. She just looked at the Emperor with those hard, clear eyes. "You will remember," she said quietly. "All of you will remember." They executed her in the plaza, where her ship still smoked. The galaxy watched that too. When it was over, the Emperor ordered the list burned. He ordered the envelope destroyed. He ordered every recording of the names deleted, but it was too late. Someone in the imperial court had recorded everything. The list of names. The word. It spread across the galaxy faster than light. Within a day, everyone knew. Within a week, you could not find anyone who had not heard Yuna read those names on his freighter. Day one watched the broadcast with his son sleeping beside him. He watched Yuna read the names. He heard his daughter's name spoken aloud. He saw her Dida and he understood. Yuna had not come to kill the Emperor. She had not come to start a war. She had come to make sure the galaxy remembered. She had come to turn 5,731 dead children from numbers into names. Into people. It worked. The galaxy remembered. And humanity? Humanity started to plan. 6 months after Yuna died in the Imperial Plaza, something strange started happening across human space. At first, nobody noticed. Then slowly, others began to realize that something was wrong. The human freighter that always delivered medicine to the Torgathy station did not arrive. The human merchants who traded in the Colonus markets disappeared. The human diplomats at the Galactic Council stopped answering messages. The human scientists who worked at the great universities simply vanished. One by one, every human in the galaxy went home. They left their jobs. They left their contracts. They left their friends. They said nothing. They just packed their things and went back to human space. Ambassador Chun Yudo from the Auralian Confederation tried to contact the human embassy. The building was empty. He tried calling Earth. No answer. He tried every human colony he knew. Silence. It was like humanity had simply stopped talking to the rest of the galaxy. The Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. Representatives from 100 species gathered to discuss the human problem. Except no humans came. For the first time in 50 years, the human chair was empty. "This is unacceptable," said the Belcori representative, a floating creature covered in glowing crystals. "Humans have contracts. They have responsibilities. They cannot simply leave. What can we do?" asked the Tillian ambassador. "Send warships to force them back? After Terra 9, that seems unwise." "They are no threat," said Kalthos, speaking for the Emperor. "Humans represent 0.0003% of the galactic population. They have no military, no weapons. Let them hide in their corner of space. We do not need them." The Council agreed. Humanity was not important enough to worry about. The galaxy moved on, but a few people noticed other things. Strange things. Myre was an intelligence officer in the Imperial Court. Her job was to watch for threats to the Emperor. She was good at her job because she paid attention to small details that Others missed. She noticed that human mining colonies were working at 3 times their normal rate. She noticed that humans were buying unusual materials through black market channels, high-grade metals, rare elements, things used in weapons manufacturing. She noticed that entire human populations were moving, but the destinations were not listed in any public records. Mireille brought her concerns to her supervisor, a large insectoid creature named Hexter. "The humans are up to something," she said, showing him her data. "Look at these resource movements. Look at the population shifts. They are preparing for something big." Hexter barely glanced at her report. "The humans are scared. They are hiding. This is normal behavior for weak species after they have been disciplined. Sir, these numbers do not show fear. They show organization, planning. You are seeing shadows, Mireille. The humans are not a threat. They have no warships, no weapons, no coordination. They are scattered across 100 colonies, each one governing itself. They cannot even agree on what to eat for breakfast, much less coordinate a military operation." Mireille tried to argue, but Hexter dismissed her. She went back to her office and continued watching. The patterns continued. Something was happening in human space. Something big. In a secret facility on a moon orbiting Earth, Day 1 stood with 300 other humans. They were looking at blueprints projected on a massive screen. The blueprints showed a warship unlike anything humanity had ever built. The meeting was led by Admiral Kyung, an old man who had lost 3 grandchildren on Terra 9. He had white hair and gentle eyes, but his voice was hard as steel. "We have 6 months of construction time remaining," Kyung said. "After that, the Emperor's intelligence services will figure out what we are doing. We must be ready by then." "Can we actually build 5,731 of these ships in time?" someone asked. "That seems impossible." "We have already built 1,200, Kyung replied. "Every human colony is working on this. Every station. Every shipyard. We have converted our entire civilization into a weapons factory. We have no economy anymore. No trade, no luxury. Just this." He pointed at the warship design. "Each ship represents one child. Each ship will be crewed by people who lost someone on Terra 9. Each ship has been designed for one purpose only." Day 1 stared at the blueprints. The ship was beautiful in a terrible way. It was covered in weapons. The engines were massive, designed for speed and power. The armor was thick. But there were no escape pods. No medical bays. No long-term life support. "These are not ships meant to come home," Day 1 said quietly. "No," Kyung agreed. "They are not. Every person who volunteers for this mission knows that we are not building a navy. We are building a storm." A woman raised her hand. Her name was Salman, and she had lost her husband and daughter. "What about after? If we somehow win, what happens to humanity then?" Kyung was quiet for a moment. "I do not know. Maybe other species will fear us. Maybe they will hate us. Maybe they will hunt us down. But they will never forget us. And they will never kill our children again without consequence." The room was silent. Everyone understood. This was not a war for territory. Not for resources. Not for power. This was a war for memory. A war to make sure that 5,731 names would matter. Day 1 thought about his son Jinho. The boy was 7 now, safe on Earth with Day 1's sister. Every night, Jinho asked the same questions. "When are we going to get Nari and Hannah back? When is Mom coming home?" At first, Day 1 tried to explain that they were gone forever, but Jinho could not understand. He was too young, so Day 1 changed his answer. "We cannot bring them back," he told his son. "But we can make sure everyone remembers them. We can make sure their names are never forgotten. Would that be okay?" Jinho thought about this very seriously. Then he nodded. "Okay, but I want to help." "You can help. Every night I want you to say your sisters' names. Can you do that?" "Nari and Hannah," Jinho said immediately. "I can remember that forever." Good, that is the most important job there is. Now, standing in this secret facility, Day One understood that this was humanity's job. To remember. To make sure those names meant something. To teach the galaxy that human children were not acceptable casualties. Another man spoke up. His name was Hyunwoo, a young engineer who had survived Terra 9 by pure luck. He had been working in an orbital platform when the attack happened. His parents, his sister, his niece all dead, Hyunwoo had designed the weapons for these new ships. He had worked for 6 months without sleeping more than 2 hours a night. His hands shook constantly from exhaustion and stimulants, but his mind was sharp. The railguns are ready, Hyunwoo said. Each one can accelerate a projectile to 30% of light speed. At that velocity, it does not matter how strong your shields are. Physics becomes a weapon. What about the plasma cannons? Kyung asked. Operational. We solved the overheating problem. Each ship can fire continuously for 4 minutes before the systems burn out. 4 minutes? That is all we need, sir. These ships are not designed for extended combat. They are designed for maximum damage in minimum time. Kyung nodded slowly. How many of you will not survive this? Everyone in the room raised their hand. Every single person? Good, Kyung said. Then we understand each other. We are not soldiers. We are a message. We are 5,731 voices screaming one word into the darkness. He paused. Remember. The room echoed with the word. Remember. 3 months later, the first complete squadron of human warships was ready. They were beautiful and terrible. Each one was painted with names, dozens of names, hundreds of names, covering every surface. The names of children. Day One's ship was called Terra's Fury. On its hull, in letters 3 meters tall, were 2 names, Nari and Hana, across human space. 5,731 ships were taking shape. Humanity had stopped being a civilization. They had become a weapon. Every resource, every person, every thought was focused on one goal. The galaxy did not know. The Emperor did not know. They thought humans were hiding. They thought humans were afraid. They were wrong. In her office on the Imperial capital, Mireille watched the data streams and felt cold fear in her chest. The numbers were impossible to ignore now. Something was coming. Something massive. She tried one more time to warn her superiors. I need to speak with the Emperor, she told Hexter. The humans are building something. We need to investigate. Mireille, you are obsessed. The humans are not a threat. Drop this. Sir, please. Just look at, that is an order, Mireille. Drop it. She left his office and went back to her desk. She looked at the data one more time. Then she did something she had never done before. She copied all of her files onto a personal drive and hid it in her quarters. If she was right, she would need proof. If she was wrong, well, it would not matter, but she was not wrong. In the darkness of human space, 5,731 ships waited for the order to move. And when that order came, the galaxy would learn what it meant when humanity remembered. 15 months after Terra 9 burned, an Imperial patrol fleet was conducting routine scans near the border of human space. The fleet consisted of 30 warships, standard procedure for border security. They were not expecting trouble. Nobody expected trouble from humans. Commander Tolrek was in charge of the patrol. He was a veteran soldier who had served the Emperor for 60 years. He was reading reports when his sensor officer interrupted him. Sir, we have a contact. Single ship emerging from human space? Tolrek looked up. Identification? Unknown design. It is ... sir, it is big. And it is not running away. That was unusual. When Imperial fleets encountered other ships, those ships usually ran. The Empire had the strongest military in the galaxy. Everyone knew this. You did not fight an Imperial fleet. You ran or you surrendered. Put it on screen, Tolrek ordered. The view screen showed the human ship. Tolrek felt his blood go cold. It was enormous, nearly the size of an Imperial battleship. Its hull was covered with strange markings that his computer could not translate. Weapons bristled from every surface. The engine signature was impossibly powerful. "What in the void is that?" someone whispered. "Scan it," Tolrek snapped. Full analysis. The computers went to work. The results made no sense. The power output was 10 times higher than it should be. The weapon systems were unlike anything in the Imperial database. The ship's mass suggested armor plating 3 times thicker than standard military vessels. "So that is a warship. A human warship." "That is impossible," Tolrek said. "Humans do not have warships. They do not have the technology or resources to build something like that. The evidence suggests otherwise, sir." Tolrek felt something he had not felt in 40 years of military service. Fear, real fear. But he was a commander of the Imperial fleet. He would not show it. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Let me talk to them." The channel opened. A human face appeared on the screen. It was a woman with hard eyes and gray hair. She looked old and tired and completely unafraid. "Human vessel, this is Commander Tolrek of the Imperial fleet. You are in violation of restricted space. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." The woman smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "I am Captain Yunji of the warship Terra's Fury. We are not here to talk. Captain, if you do not comply, we will be forced to open fire." "We are counting on it," Yunji said. Then she cut the transmission. Tolrek stared at the blank screen. "Did she just— Sir, the human ship is charging weapons." "All ships battle formation. Target that vessel and fire at will." The Imperial fleet moved with practiced precision. 30 warships formed a killing zone around the single human ship. Energy weapons locked on. Missile tubes opened. This would be over in seconds. They fired. The space between the fleets turned white with weapons fire. Enough energy to destroy a small moon hit Terra's Fury from every direction at once. When the light faded, the human ship was still there. Its shields had not even flickered. "What?" Tolrek said stupidly. "That is not possible." "Sir, the human ship is returning fire." Terra's Fury fired its railguns. The projectiles were small, just chunks of dense metal, but they were moving at 30% of light speed. At that velocity, they did not need to be big. The first projectile hit an Imperial cruiser in the center of its hull. The ship simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next it was a cloud of expanding debris. No explosion. No fire. Just instant destruction. The second projectile hit 2 ships at once, punching through them like they were paper. "Evasive maneuvers," Tolrek screamed. "All ships scatter." But the human ship was faster than it had any right to be. It moved like a fighter, not a battleship. Its plasma cannons opened up, beams of superheated matter cutting through Imperial shields like they were not even there. 4 minutes. That was all it took. In 4 minutes, Terra's Fury destroyed 47 Imperial warships. Tolrek's flagship was the last to die. As his ship came apart around him, his last thought was a question: how? The human ship hung in space, surrounded by wreckage. Its hull was scarred and burning. Its shields were down. Its weapons were offline. The 4-minute time limit that Yunwu had mentioned had arrived. Terra's Fury was now defenseless, but there were no more Imperial ships left to shoot at it. Captain. Yunji sat in her command chair, breathing hard. Her crew was dead or dying around her. Life support was failing. They had maybe 10 minutes of air left. She reached for the communication console and opened a channel on every frequency the ship could manage. "This is Captain Yunji of Terra's Fury," she said. "We have destroyed 47 Imperial vessels. That is 47 children avenged." She paused. 5,730 to go. Then she shut down the transmission and waited to die. She thought about her son, 6 years old, killed in his school on Terra 9. She thought about reading his name on that list Yuna had compiled. She hoped he would understand what she had done. The message reached the Imperial capital within hours. Emperor Vexler was in a meeting with his military commanders when the report came through. At first he did not believe it. A single human ship destroyed an entire patrol fleet? He said, "Check your information." This must be an error. My Emperor, we have confirmed reports from 3 different sensor networks. The human ship it was like nothing we have ever encountered. Where is this ship now? Destroyed, my Emperor. It exhausted its weapons and then self-destructed. But before it died, it sent a message. They played Yunji's message. The Emperor listened to her words. 5,730 to go. What does that mean? Vexler demanded. Kalthos, his senior advisor, brought up a file on the holographic display. It was the list from Terra 9. My Emperor, 5,731 children died on Terra 9. This human ship destroyed 47 of our vessels. If you subtract 47 from 5,731, the Emperor stared at him. Are you suggesting that the humans plan to send 5,731 ships? That is exactly what I am suggesting, my Emperor. That is insane. Humans do not have the resources to build 5,731 warships. And even if they did, where would they get the crews? Where would they get the weapons? My Emperor, perhaps we should investigate human space. See what they have been doing for the past 15 months. Vexler sent scout ships. What they found terrified them. Every human colony had been converted into a shipyard. Every asteroid, every moon, every space station, all of them building ships. The humans had dismantled their entire civilization. They had taken apart their cities, their farms, their homes, and rebuilt everything as weapons factories. And the ships, thousands of ships, hanging in space like a metal forest. Each one painted with names. Each one ready to fight. The scouts counted as many as they could before human fighters chased them away. The preliminary count, 5,731 warships. When the Emperor received this report, he sat in his throne room in silence for a long time. His advisors waited nervously. Finally, he spoke. They built a ship for every child. Yes, my Emperor, and each ship can do what that first one did? Our analysts believe so, yes. Vexler felt something he had not felt in 300 years of rule. Genuine fear. The humans had not been hiding. They had not been running. They had been building. They had spent 15 months turning their entire species into a weapon aimed directly at him. How many ships do we have? He asked. In total? Nearly 100,000, my Emperor, including ships from all our vassal species. Then we still outnumber them. By 17 to 1, yes. But my Emperor, if each human ship can destroy 47 of ours, Kalthos did some quick calculations. That means they could destroy approximately 269,000 Imperial ships before they are all eliminated. We only have 100,000. Yes, my Emperor. The throne room was completely silent. Outside, the capital city continued its normal rhythm, unaware of what was coming. But everyone in this room understood. For the first time in the history of the Galactic Dominion, the Empire was genuinely threatened. Send a message to all our allies, Vexler ordered. Tell them to send every ship they have to the capital. Every single one. We will make our stand here. My Emperor, would it not be wiser to negotiate? Perhaps offer reparations for Terra 9? No, the Emperor's voice was flat and cold. If we show weakness now, every species in the galaxy will think they can defy me. We will crush these humans. We will show them why I am Emperor. But privately, alone in his chambers that night, Vexler looked at the list of 5,731 names that someone had preserved despite his orders to destroy it. He read through them slowly. So many names, so many children. He had killed them without thinking, without caring. They had been nothing to him, just numbers on a report. Now those numbers had become ships. Those names had become weapons. And they were coming for him. For the first time, Emperor Vexler understood what Yuna had tried to tell him with that single word. Remember, now he could not forget. None of them could. The humans had made sure of that. In human space, Admiral Kyung gave the order. 5,731 ships began to move, heading toward the Imperial capital. On each ship, crews said goodbye to their families. They recorded final messages. They made peace with their gods on Terra's fury. Now repaired and ready for its final journey, Captain Day 1 sat in the command chair where Yunji had died. His hands touched the controls gently. Somewhere on Earth, his son Jinho was safe, protected, alive. Day 1 looked at the names painted on his ship's hull. Nari and Hana, his daughters. His world. The human fleet arrived at the Imperial capital 3 weeks after leaving human space. They did not hide. They did not try to be clever. They simply appeared at the edge of the system in one massive wave and began moving toward Throne World. The Imperial Armada was waiting for them. Over 100,000 warships from 30 different species all gathered to defend the Emperor. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. The fleet formed a wall between the humans and the planet, a wall of metal and weapons stretching across space like a shield. Admiral Kyung stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the tactical display. The numbers were not good. 17 Imperial ships for every human one. Even with their superior weapons, this would be close. Very close. All ships, this is Admiral Kyung, he said over the fleet-wide channel. You know what we came here to do? Each of you carries names on your hull. Those names are watching us today. They are counting on us to make sure they matter, to make sure they are never forgotten. He paused, looking at the massive enemy fleet ahead. We are not here to win a war. We are here to send a message. We are here to teach the galaxy that human children are not acceptable losses, that every name matters, that we remember. Across the fleet, 5,731 captains prepared their ships. They armed their weapons. They said their prayers. They thought about the children they had lost. Captain Day 1 touched the console in front of him. On his screen was a picture of his daughters, Nari and Hana, smiling at the camera. He had taken that photo 2 days before they died. They had been laughing at something, he said, their faces bright with joy. I kept my promise, he said softly to their images. Everyone will remember your names. The Imperial fleet fired first. The sky lit up with weapons fire. Energy beams, missiles, plasma bolts, everything humanity had feared for 50 years, came screaming toward them. The human fleet did not try to dodge. They flew straight into the wall of fire. Their shields absorbed hit after hit, glowing brighter and brighter until they looked like small stars. Then the human ships fired back. The railguns spoke first. Projectiles moving at impossible speeds punched through Imperial shields like they were not even there. Ships exploded. Ships broke apart. Ships simply vanished. The plasma cannons followed, beams of superheated matter carving through formations. A single beam from a human warship could slice through 3 Imperial vessels in a row, but there were so many enemy ships. For every Imperial vessel the humans destroyed, 10 more took its place. The human shields started to fail. Human ships started to die. Captain Soman, commanding the warship Eternal Watch, saw her shields collapse. Enemy fire tore into her hull. Her crew was dying around her. With her last breath, she aimed her ship at an Imperial carrier and pushed the engines to maximum. The collision destroyed both vessels. Remember my daughter, Soman whispered as the ship broke apart. Remember Jiwan. All across the battlefield, human ships were doing the same thing. When their weapons failed, they used their ships as weapons. When their shields fell, they rammed enemy vessels. Every human captain knew they were not going home. So they made every second count. Engineer Hyunwoo, commanding the ship Technical Vengeance, saw 5 enemy battleships moving to flank the human formation. His weapons were offline. His shields were gone. But his engines still worked. He calculated the angle carefully. Then he accelerated his ship to maximum speed and crashed into the center of the enemy formation. The explosion was so large it looked like a second sun had appeared in the battle space. For my sister, Hyunwoo said. For Yuri. On Throne World, Emperor Vexter watched the battle from his palace. His advisors stood around him in shocked silence. The humans were losing, they were definitely losing, but they were taking so many Imperial ships with them. How many have we lost? Vexter asked. 40,000 ships, my emperor. And still counting. And the humans? 2,000 of their ships are destroyed. But my emperor, they are not fighting like normal soldiers. They are fighting like they want to die. They were. Every human in that fleet had accepted death before leaving human space. They were not trying to survive. They were trying to make their deaths mean something. Captain Day 1's ship, Terra's Fury, was now deep in the enemy formation. His shields were at 10%. Half his crew was dead. His railguns had one shot left. He saw an Imperial supercarrier ahead, a massive vessel that served as a command center for 50 smaller ships. If he could destroy it, the entire sector would lose coordination. All power to forward shields, he ordered. Full speed ahead. His ship accelerated. Enemy fire hammered against his failing shields. The shield collapsed. Fire tore through the hull. Day 1 could hear his ship screaming as it came apart. He armed the last railgun. At this range he could not miss. He fired. The projectile hit the carrier's reactor core. The explosion was beautiful and terrible. The carrier and everything around it simply ceased to exist in a flash of white light. Day 1 felt the explosion hit his ship. The bridge was on fire. He could not breathe, but he managed to smile as he thought of his daughters. Nari, Hana, I love you. Then Terra's Fury exploded, but something was happening in the Imperial fleet. Ships were stopping. Ships were pulling back. Some ships were even turning around and leaving. The vassal species that served the Emperor had watched the battle. They had watched the humans fight and die for their children. They had watched the names painted on every human hull. They had counted the dead, and they realized something. If the Emperor could do this to humanity, he could do it to them. Their children were not safe either. None of them were. One by one, the vassal species began to withdraw. First a few ships, then dozens, then hundreds. They had come to defend the Emperor. But they were not willing to die for him. In the Imperial Palace, Vexter watched his fleet collapse. Order them back. Order them to fight. They are not responding, my Emperor. Then destroy them. Destroy any ship that retreats. But there were too many ships leaving. The Emperor's fleet was falling apart. And the humans were still coming. There were only 2,000 human ships left, but they were cutting through the remaining Imperial forces like knives. Admiral Kyung watched the enemy flee. He felt no joy. They had lost more than half their fleet. Thousands of humans had died. But they were winning. Somehow, impossibly, they were winning. All remaining ships, form up, he ordered. We are going to the planet's surface. The remaining human ships broke through the last Imperial defenses and descended toward Throne World. The Emperor's personal guard tried to stop them, but it was no use. The human ships had one target, the Imperial Palace. In the palace, Vexter's advisors were screaming at him to evacuate. But the Emperor sat on his throne watching the human ships approach. He understood now. This had never been about conquering his empire. This had been about one thing only, making him remember. Myre, the intelligence officer who had tried to warn everyone, appeared in the throne room. She was wearing a simple uniform, carrying a data drive. My Emperor, I can help you escape. But first, you need to see something. What could possibly matter now? Vexler demanded. The truth, Myre said. She plugged the data drive into the throne room's display system. Images appeared. Videos from Terranine, from before the attack. Human children playing, laughing, learning, living. The faces of 5,731 children flashed across the screen, one after another. These are the people you killed, Myre said quietly. Not numbers. Not statistics, people. Vexler stared at the images. For the first time, he truly saw them. He saw a little girl with braids chasing a ball. He saw a boy reading a book under a tree. He saw teenagers holding hands. He saw babies sleeping in their parents' arms. Turn it off, he whispered. No, Myre said. You are going to watch all of them. Every single face. You are going to remember. Human ships landed in the palace plaza. Marines in armor poured out, led by a tall woman with cold eyes. Her name was Lieutenant Era, and she had lost her entire family on Terra 9. She and her team fought through the palace guards. They were not trying to kill everyone, just anyone who got in their way. Their target was one person only. They reached the throne room. The massive doors exploded inward. Era walked through the smoke, her weapon raised, and saw the Emperor sitting on his throne. Around him, advisors cowered. Guards aimed their weapons but did not fire, knowing it would be suicide. Emperor Vexter, Era said, "I have a message for you." "Then deliver it and kill me," Vexter said tiredly. "That is why you came, is it not?" "No," Era said. "We did not come to kill you. We came to teach you." She pulled out a piece of paper, old, worn, folded many times. She walked up to the throne and placed it in the Emperor's hands. It was a copy of the list. The list of 5,731 names. At the bottom, in a child's handwriting, was a single word, "Remember." "This was written by a 6-year-old boy named Jinho," Era said. "He lost his mother and sisters on Terra 9. His father died today, flying a ship called Terra's Fury. Before he died, he made his son promise to always remember his sisters' names." She leaned close to the Emperor. "You will live, Vexter. We are not going to kill you. You are going to live with what you did. You are going to remember every single name on that list. And every time you close your eyes, you are going to see their faces." Era turned to leave, then stopped. "Oh, and one more thing.